Jaylon Robinson commits to Ole Miss. Another transfer coming in. Ole Miss is becoming dominant in the transfer portal right now. And also today could be the day for Jaden Rashada committing, whether it be to Ole Miss, Miami, Oregon. No matter what, Ole Miss has been putting a full court press on him. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So do us a favor. We're up to 85% of our goal. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, we are going to do Post-Game Live, a post-game show of Ole Miss football games that'll air. It'll be about 30 minutes long. It'll be really quick, but it'll be live. It'll be interactive. This area over here will be a chat module. It'll be fantastic. But we need to hit 1,000 subscribers for that to happen. So before football season, we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you can do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you already have, tell your friend. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel, please. Also, hit the bell for notifications of new videos going up, which happens actually quite frequently, and upvote the video itself. We would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Jaylon Robinson committed to Ole Miss over the weekend. Ole Miss is becoming, I think I talked about this a couple of weeks back. In the transfer portal, Ole Miss, if they come after you, they generally get you. Whatever they're selling seems to be working. They are a dominant recruiter in the transfer portal side of the house. It just is what it is. And I think it should be known, and I think it will be known, that Ole Miss is like this because it has to be. You know, it's not a traditional recruiter like the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Clemsons of the world. They don't have time to get to that point. They don't have time to build it because everything has changed because of NIL and the transfer portal. The NIL recruiters, Texas A&M, Miami, Tennessee, Oregon, those are the people that are basically just the New York Yankees style of roster building. And then there's the transfer portal. And Ole Miss has solidified themselves as an early leader in the transfer portal. It's pretty much them and USC. Everybody talks about Texas and Alabama and Georgia. Those schools sign 2 or 3 kids a year. They cherry pick. Sure, they can do that. But they want their freshman recruiting, which they're already dominant in, to rule the day. So the transfer portal, they don't hit as hard. So it opens up for schools like Ole Miss, USC trying to get back. With the 32 initial signings for this season, it made it a little bit easy to transform your roster. And the transformation of this roster is nothing short of remarkable. Lane Kiffin's done a fantastic job. People will not notice, but the talent profile of this team has gone up significantly. They went from 17 players last year-ish, 4- and 5-star players on their roster last year. Now they're up around 34. It's almost doubled the talent profile of blue-chip players on this roster, and that is all thanks to the transfer portal. We do really well in the transfer portal. Now, Jaylon Robinson, this is a big get, and it's a big get because I think at Central Florida he was playing out of position. Now, for all of Josh Heupel's strengths, and he has quite a few of them, one of his minuses is they're not really a slot receiver. They spread the receivers outside the numbers so often that it's basically just, when they go 4 wide, it's 4 literal wide receivers. They're all outside guys extensively. But sometimes they use a tight end, but they don't really use a slot receiver. That is the big difference between what Josh Heupel does at Tennessee and what Lane Kiffin does at Ole Miss. They're still in the Baylor family of offenses, but it's just run a little bit differently. And the use of the slot receiver is a lot of that. Now, the tempo and the execution and the operation of the offense is all Baylor. That's the reason they hire Baylor coaches to put it in from the beginning. They know the terminology, they know what they're doing. It just makes it a little bit easier to start from the beginning. But then after the first year, it's almost like he gets those Baylor guys out of here and brings in his own guys. and the offense looks exactly the same, but those guys can kind of teach less in year 2 because the system was already in. Now, the slot receiver in the Lane Kiffin offense, they realize that an RPO system, which the Baylor offense extensively is, the conflict players are in the middle of the field. The linebackers, the down safeties, the box safeties, people like that. You want to put them in conflict. And a slot receiver is in the best position to take advantage of them the tight end. And those are the main weapons in this Lane Kiffin offense. Slot receiver and the tight end. That's the reason when everybody looks at outside and they're like, what's going on? We obviously don't have the right guy. There's something going on the outside. It's not really the case. It's 90% of this offense happens between the hashes. The outside 10% are Lane Kiffin shot plays, but 90% of this offense deals with between the hashes. So you're going to see the running backs flare out. You're going to see the jet sweep guys go out there. You're going to see them used in different ways, but they're not necessarily going to stretch it for 52 and a half yards across the field. They're pretty much going to go hash mark to hash mark most of the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, really. And Jaylon Robinson is very adept at the center of the field. He's got the quickness. He's got, as they said about Elijah Moore, he's got phone booth quickness. And down at UCF, where he made his bones, they put him on the outside because that offense does that. His strength will be in the middle of the field running these RPOs, much like Elijah Moore was. And because of that, people might say, okay, that maybe this isn't a guy worth burning a scholarship for or not worth a transfer. But whenever you picture him in the middle of the field to where he's not going against those elite cornerbacks and things like that, matching up with linebackers, somebody like Henry To'oTo'o that struggles in pass coverage from time to time. Him and Michael Trigg could be a lot of a problem. And you can see how they were able to sell it to this guy. And he saw exactly what he can become. And he has a chance to be a very special guy. Now, we told you we weren't quite sure where the numbers stood at the moment. We were doing based off of our counts, basically a kicker and Deion Smith. But we said if another one came up, they'd be able to sign both of them. Now, we will wait to see what happens with Deion Smith. It could be a situation where he ends up not at Ole Miss. He could essentially Nick Brazel himself, for lack of a better word. So it is important to watch. Ole Miss got a weapon today. And with Jalen Watkins, and with J.J. Henry, and with I think Jalen Knox, there's some potential weapons at the slot receiver and depth that are being stacked upon stacked upon stacked. That is going to be the weapon. That's also how you can tell exactly how important it is. They want to stack those 3 and 4 deep because if anything happens, they don't want a position where their slot receiver has to go outside like last year. Whenever they had to move Dontario Drummond out of the slot, the offense became infinitely less effective. Everybody's going to blame it on Matt Corral's injury. No, I'm going to blame it on the movement of Dontario Drummond and the injuries causing him to go outside because everybody's in love with outside wide receivers. It's just the way people are programmed. They see those guys on the outside and they see the lack of numbers and they're like, what's wrong? And the answer is nothing. In this offense, I hate to break it to everybody. In this offense, other than the double move shot plays that Lane Kiffin runs, it's basically a blocking position, the outside wide receiver. Because this offense is going to be 60-65% run. But the talent profile of this roster has increased mightily. It's amazing. And that's something pretty cool. Anyway, imagine dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing it's only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That's what it's like to eat a birthday cake puffs from Built. I just received my birthday cake puffs and I have never had anything like this before. They're available right now and we can't promise they'll be there tomorrow, so go get them today at Built.com. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. That's at Built.com and get their birthday puffs now. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15. That's all one word, LOCKED15, to get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Make sure to go check out the Locked On NBA Big Board. Host Rafael Barlow from NBA Draft Junkies and the author of NBA Big Board newsletter is joined by Richard Stayman, Sam Ferris, and Leif Thulin, giving fans an in-depth look of the NBA draft, mock draft, power rankings, and of course, big boards. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Okay, the first segment of the show. In the first segment of the show, I accidentally deleted that. Let me do that real quick. I'm bringing it up. We talked about Jaylon Robinson and what he means for this team and how this is going to look going forward. And, it's pretty cool to what to do. Well, tomorrow is a big decision day as well. And tomorrow, Jaden Robinson is going to announce something. Now, I imagine he is going to announce tomorrow at 12. Now, that could be at 12 California time, Pacific time. And the fact that he tagged Hayes Fawcett on there, who is a normal edit maker. So, you could see something like that. Now, we talked about how Ole Miss has gone completely all in on this. They've offered a wide receiver. They've offered his brother. They're going to package deal it. They want this guy. And the fact that they're going all out for this guy in the same recruiting class that a Manning exists in, this kid should be honored. Whether he wants to go to Ole Miss or not, he should be absolutely honored because I can't think of a nicer, better chip to play than that. Can you imagine just not... even with a Manning in there going completely all out on another quarterback. This quarterback is absolutely special. The ball just jumps out of his hand. If we had a video a couple of weeks back with John Garcia where he talked about Jaden Rashada and the ball just jumping out of his hand, and it's absolutely true. He has a chance to be a special quarterback, and he has all the attributes that you would have expect. I mean, he's a big, tall kid. He's skinny, he's lanky, so he's going to be able to put on some weight in the future, but he is a really good player, and I look forward to, if he picks Ole Miss, exactly how that will look for the Rebels, because this is a team that is going into 2022 with the Gatorade National Player of the Year, competing for the quarterback slot, battling it with another 4-star. They recruited for 2023 another quarterback that is also a 4-star that really showed out at the Elite 11. He didn't make it to the finals, but he made it close. And then they're going to try and recruit Jaden Rashada. Now, if Rashada does not pick Ole Miss, we can wipe our hands. We did our best. We have Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed is that guy from Nashville that kind of showed out in the Elite 11 yesterday. My question that I do have, and this is not a shot at anybody, but I just want to know why the number one player in the country is actively avoiding Elite 11. I don't understand. Sports today has gotten so risk averse, and we're going to talk to Derek Vandygriff in a minute, but it's like that story about them canceling the game against Arkansas State, and they're doing that for whatever excuse they do it. They do it because there's absolutely no benefit of playing it. Well, there's no benefit now. There was benefit back in January whenever you put it on the schedule. And everybody used to do it. Now, college sports, the things that we used to love college sports for was the purity of them. The playing the game because you love playing a game. That's why we like it. The big money has creeped in. Everybody's worried about either getting in the tournament or keeping their job or, any number of things. So they've all become so risk averse. And you see players opting out of bowl games because it's, risk averse. You see players opting out of the NFL combine because they're risk averse. You see them now randomly canceling midweek games because even winning them could negatively affect their RPI. Risk averse. Not because you're not playing baseball because you enjoy playing baseball. You're playing baseball for something else. Something has stepped in. Maybe it's the selfishness of the head coach that has his job on the line and needs to make a regional. Maybe that's the reason they're doing it. Maybe it's a shot at better case of getting the kids in the game because they just need to get in the tournament. But either way, it's not like it was with college sports where playing the game was simply the reward if you played the game. Getting to play the game at a high level was the reward. Not sitting out. Major League was not the ultimate goal. Omaha was not the ultimate goal. NFL was not the ultimate goal. No, it was playing because you wanted to play. And the purity of college sports. I always say all the time on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis, you can catch me. And I say all the time, and I was like, the age of mercenaries in college sports have begun. And the things that used to make sense, the things that you might have fallen in love with college sports over, it's gone forever. And it's not going to come back. So you need to find another reason to be just as invested, because relationship with the players, relationship with the coaches, all of that's going to change forever because of what's going on. So if you really want to be, for lack of an EA Sports thing where just the uniforms out there and there's not real names and not real stats, that's almost the way people is going to have to start following college football, because the players inside of them could change year to year. And it's interesting. But it kind of is what it is. But Jaden Rashada will commit today. Well, I don't know if it will be at 12 o'clock Pacific or 12 o'clock Eastern. I don't know the time frame on that. So somewhere in between 12 and 3 Eastern, he will commit. So it should be quite interesting what's going on. So I'm pretty excited about that. I really like Jaden Rashada. I actually like Jaden Rashada more than any other quarterback in this class. And that isn't just because we have a shot to get him. I just love his arm. You look at his arm and he throws the ball and it just reacts different. If you remember that first pass, it was like a 30-yard out route that Chad Kelly threw in his first game against UT Martin that just made you go, oh, that's the arm strength that this kid has. It's pretty special. The way it jumps off his hand, it is really, really special. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find out all the latest odds and news and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including iTunes. So don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. You can say whatever you want to say. Just give us a 5-star review if you don't mind. We got a really nice one a couple of weeks back. It was really cool to read. So if you would do that for us, it would make us very happy. I'm here, as we always are, on Tuesday with Derek Vandygriff to talk about the Ole Miss baseball team going back over the weekend. And you know what? Man, something has clicked with these guys. This is 7 straight wins. Texas A&M's coming in, and basically I think probably if they win one this weekend, they're probably going to make the tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're 1 win away. As good as we've been playing, I don't think anybody really expects us to go in and sweep LSU down in Baton Rouge, considering it's never happened in our entire history. But yeah, that's back-to-back series down there in Baton Rouge, something that we've probably never done before either. We're playing as good as any team in the country right now, and I know there's nobody that wants to see us in the regional, and we're 1 win away from being somebody's nightmare.
Yeah, and I think the team's nightmare is going to be Southern Miss. If they can get a host at Pete Taylor Park, I can see Ole Miss being the #2 in that regional.
Yeah. If they can straighten things up, they're in a bit of a slide right now too. But they're still in pretty good position to host, and if they end up taking care of business down the stretch, they'll probably get their home regional. And I'd love nothing more than the Rebels go down there as the 2 or 3 seed and break their hearts too.
Yeah, and what do you think the reason for this turnaround is? What do you think caused this? All right, so I'll go back and ask that question again. What do you attribute to how this changed? What caused it, do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Mike Bianco figuring out the weekend rotation. DeLucian Friday and Elliott on Saturday, and then Diamond's been fine on Sunday if we can just get him out of the game early enough, which is a whole nother problem right now. But I'm not going to complain too much about that because overall we have done a good job getting that rotation figured out. Also, you look, you move Justin Bench to third base, and it really shores up defensively the entire infield in there. Burford is really struggling fielding the ball at the hot corner, and Bench comes in there, solidifies that, and of course Shat's always been good, and Gonzo's really cleaned it up, and you look up and we're actually a pretty good defensive team now. So that's definitely helped us. And then Kevin Graham, he's back, his swing's back. You put him in that lineup behind Elko and Gonzo and those guys, and it just completely changes the whole dynamic of the lineup of how you have to navigate it, and just really how tough it is 1 through 9 now with those guys in it and swinging it the way they are.
Yeah, they're as hot as anybody in the country, and like we joked about before, they're going to be a number 2 or number 3 in a division that's going to actually just piss off the host to see their name. Now, Tuesday night, Ole Miss and Arkansas State, that game got canceled, and
yes.
My thoughts about this is I understand that playing the game means your RPI is going to go down, and if you lost the game, your RPI was going to go down a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But I think in college sports right now, there's just too much of an emphasis on the end instead of just actually playing the game, the reason that we fell in love with it in the first place. But they're trying to be so risk averse. This is a problem, is it not?
Personally, I don't have a problem with us canceling this Arkansas State game, just for the reasons you mentioned. Right now we're not in the tournament right now. We're fighting tooth and nail, backs against the wall, and we're playing well right now. But this is the most random sport in all of college sports. You can go on the road on a random Tuesday night and lose to anybody, and if we go up there and just lay an egg and Drew McDaniel's back to where he can't throw a strike. And then, you look up and it's SEMO all over again, and we've completely lost all the ground we made up in the RPI this past weekend. If it was a little different situation and we weren't fighting for our lives to get into the tournament, then yeah, I'd say go ahead and play it. But I actually don't have a problem with us canceling this game. I was really hoping we would, just for that reason, because, there is no end game if you can't get into the tournament. And if you go up there and lay an egg, then that pretty much kills your RPI to the point where you may not get in anyway.
Yeah, but my point is going up there and laying an egg is on your schedule. That's always a possibility. It would be, everybody has to go through that. You got swept by Alabama. You gave up walk-offs to several teams. There's 4 or 5 wins out there in SEC that you just left on the table. You cancel the Arkansas State game because you messed up then is what's happening.
Well, yeah, but that's still the reality of the position we're in right now, though. If you could go back and, you have your rotation set up the way we do now and we're swinging it the way we do now, then, yeah, you're not losing 3 against Alabama. You're going to take at least one of those 2 games that you got back in it against South Carolina, Mississippi State. We had Arkansas beat on that Saturday or Sunday. I forget which one it was. If you can go back and just take just 2 of any of those games, then yeah, you're probably sitting here comfortably and you're not really worried about the Arkansas State game. I understand people's arguments against that want to play it, say, yeah, well, it's on your schedule, you need to play it. Yeah, I do get it. I understand that, but right now, just the position we're in, I also understand canceling it, and I don't have a problem with it personally.
Yeah, it's essentially opting out. Like players not playing a bowl game, you're opting out of this game because you don't want to hurt your draft status or, in this case, your tournament prospects. That whole thing drifting into college sports just kind of bothers me. Anyway, let's move on to this weekend. Texas A&M. Tell me a little bit about the Aggies.
Well, if Ole Miss is the hottest team in the conference, Texas A&M is the second hottest team. They've been playing incredible. They've won 6 straight SEC series so far. They've during that stretch beaten Kentucky, at Georgia, Arkansas, at Vandy, South Carolina, of course, swept State. This past weekend, they're 13-5 over that stretch. They're 17-10 overall. RPI of 21 when I looked at it earlier today. They're a really good baseball team, and quite frankly, they're really similar to Ole Miss. They can really swing the bat. I mean, they can hit it all over the place. Their pitching's kind of up and down. They actually made a pitching change to the rotation on Saturday this past weekend. But I think they're right above us in ERA right now. They're right above us in fielding percentage. They don't field it particularly well. And like we saw this past weekend, LSU gave us so many extra outs throughout the 3 games. That's what you have to take advantage of. That's one thing we've been able to clean up. Hopefully we can catch A&M on one of those series where they're going to have to get 28, 29, 30 outs in a game to win it. And if they do, hopefully we can take advantage of it.
All right. Looking at Texas A&M, well, obviously, how many wins do we need to get in that series, and how many in the SEC tournament for us to feel safe?
If you go and win 2 this weekend, I think no matter what you do in Hoover, you're in pretty safely. I mean, you think right now, counting that Mississippi State Governor's Cup game, you're at 14 wins right now. So you win 2 this weekend, and then you're at 16, and you're feeling pretty good. Now, kind of a long shot if you want to go back to when we were talking after the Arkansas game when I was sitting here like, mathematically, if you want me to get us in the NCAA tournament, I can get you there, but it's going to be tough. I'm telling you, there is a legit chance that the Rebels could end up hosting if they end up getting real hot here down the stretch. Go ahead and sweep A&M, get that RPI up into the top 30 going into Hoover. And then you start going into Hoover and you make a run to Friday, Saturday, something like that. You're talking about a combined, 21, 22 SEC wins at that point. And, I don't think an SEC team has ever not hosted with that kind of number. Again, it's a long shot. It probably won't happen, but it's kind of amazing to think about in the last 2 weeks where we've come from. It's like, I can get us in the tournament now. I can get us to hosting now. You're expecting to make the tournament, and mathematically there's still a chance no matter how long of a shot it is. But I'm telling you right now, the way we're playing, we get them in Swayze this weekend. If we take care of business, go ahead and take 2 games, you're probably safe going into Hoover. If you only take 1, you probably do need to win that Tuesday game. That way you're not sweating it out coming that following Monday. But I think any combination of 2 more wins and we're safely in.
Okay. And another question. Would it be better for Ole Miss to be a 2 or a 1 in the regional this year? Because they have not played well at home generally. I think a 2 might be a best case scenario for them.
Yeah. I've actually heard this argument from the standpoint of, well, if you host, you're probably the 16th team. So then if you're the 16th host, well, if you end up making a super, then you got to go play the number 1 overall seed, which more than likely will end up being Tennessee, and barring something crazy happening towards the end of the year. But if you're a 2 seed or something like that, you're probably in somewhere in the top 8 regional, something like that, or maybe like the number 10 seed regional something, and then you get matched up with a lot better matchup come super regional time. So that's also a real interesting theory to throw out there as far as what you would rather have. Right now, I just hope we make the tournament. I hope we do what we got to do, get in there, because as good as we're playing right now, the way we're swinging the bats, the way we're pitching, Hunter Elliott's back-to-back SEC Freshman of the Week. He's looking like a bona fide future ace for us right now, the way he's going. And Dylan DeLucia, I mean, he might be a top 3 Friday night starter in the SEC right now, the way he's going. I mean, that guy has been unbelievable for us this year. And, it's almost like Nikhazy last year. Every time he's on the mound, there's not a doubt in my mind that we're going to win.
Yeah, and you see teams start to play with confidence behind them, and that's the biggest thing that I think has happened over the last couple of weeks. The team got out of it and started playing confidently. And once they started doing that, they were able to relax at the plate and hit the ball. The pitchers threw strikes. And that's still my biggest thing that drives crazy. Just throw strikes if you're up on LSU 8-4 in the 8th inning. Just throw strikes. There's not one batter can't go up there and hit a grand slam. There's nobody on base. Don't give them base runners.
Yeah, that's it. You got to go up there. You got to fill the zone. It's one thing we've been really good at. Josh came in and did a really good job of that for us. And, of course, Brandon Johnson, since that Arkansas series, he's really turned it around. He's looked like one of the best closers in the country. Washburn's looked good for since he's come back from that hamstring injury. We got a lot of options out there. Gaddis has been good out of the pen. We didn't see Doherty this year, but or this past weekend, but you saw in that Missouri series, he kind of started turning things around a little bit. And, if you can get that kind of production out of the pen with what you're getting out of DeLucia and Elliott right now, and if you can save that pen 4 diamond on Sundays or the third game, however you want to phrase that, and then you actually have the mindset to pull him after the first turn through the rotation and actually use a full bullpen, we're set up pretty well that way. So we're a scary team, and if we get into a regional, like I said, that's going to be somebody's nightmare if they're hosting the Rebels.
Yeah, it is. It should be. And anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Tune in tomorrow where we continue our Mount Rushmore series. We're going to talk about the top egg bowls of all time. That's our Mount Rushmore of egg bowls. So now make your second listens the Locked On SEC show. Get all your SEC news in less than 30 minutes. And with SEC expert Chris Gordy, it's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, Derek, for stopping by. Thank you as always. And we will absolutely get together in the near future.
All right, brother. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy, bud.